attitude is the opposite.
High fly ball, deep left field. Oh, 27 does it again.
God, Fernando Tatis Jr. with a two-run shot has the Padres on the board. Ball and 2 strikes to Shohei here. Oh, got it! Got it! 33!
Oh, wow. Where did that one go? That's his 11th.
Driven out to deep center field. Going back. Springer turning, looking. See ya. Oh, what a shot by Judge. The Yankees lead 1-0.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 17 of Free Baseball. I'm joined by my co-host, Jake Crumpler. I'm doing the Jake impression today. I've got my glasses on. Got a lot to talk about. A couple cool debates. We'll talk about Cy Young debate so far. Talk a little bit about the Rockies City Connect jerseys and power rank our favorites. Got a lot to talk about, and we'll get it started with some hot weeks from the past week. Kicking it off with Dansby Swanson and the Atlanta Braves. The kind of struggling Braves. But Swanson looking to bring him out of that mire. He had 29 plate appearances, hit .481, 517 on base, and slugged .667, scored 5 runs, hit a dinger, 5 RBIs, 2 steals, second in MLB, didn't lead, at .8 F/WAR. His season line, obviously not as good as 481, but 269, 335, 443, 25 runs, 6 dingers, 24 RBIs, 8 steals, and a 118 WRC plus. Hot week from Dansby. What are your thoughts about him and the Braves?
Yeah, he's been picking it up really well. He started the season off very cold. I mean, he's one of those guys that sort of goes in and out. I saw a meme the other day where it was just like sort of just like a circle thing, or like the top, it's like Dansby Swanson is the worst hitter in MLB. Dansby Swanson is heating up. Dansby Swanson is the best hitter in MLB. Dansby Swanson is cooling off. So it's just like he's either the worst in the MLB or the best. But yeah, this has been one of those weeks where he's been the best. It's actually been a couple weeks where he's been really hot. I felt like he was batting low 200s, and now he's batting 269 on the season. But yeah, he's been going off. I mean, he's not one of those guys that you want to doubt. He was second in the majors with .8 F/WAR, and now he's up to 6 homers, 8 steals, and a 118 WRC plus on the season. Pretty solid. Not much else to say about Dansby, but it's good to see him heating up. I think they even moved him to the top of the lineup. I saw him batting second for one of the games that he went like 4 for 5 or something. But yeah, he made my top performers article last week, and he's continued going off.
Make sure you read the top performers article at theathleteshub.org. Moving on to the Los Angeles Dodgers, Jake's favorite team. Tyler Anderson, just another name in the Dodgers rotation that's turned into an absolute stud. On the 23rd against Washington, through 8 innings, gave up 5 hits, no earned, no walks, 8 strikeouts, 21 whiffs with 31.7 called strikes plus whiffs percentage. And he backed that up against the Diamondbacks on the 29th, going 6 innings, 5 hits again, 0 earned again, 1 walk this time, 6 Ks, 10 whiffs, and 36.7% called strikes plus whiffs. Led all pitchers with .7 F/WAR. On the season, he is 6-0, 49 2/3 innings pitched, 48 Ks with a 2.9 ERA and a 1.01 whip. Excuse me. Tyler Anderson, who would have thought? Absolute stud in the Dodgers rotation.
For real. Yeah, he's been killing it. I mean, you sort of expect the Dodgers to get the most out of everybody that they have on their team, and that's sort of what they're doing with Tyler Anderson here. He's sort of been just like a solid starter in the recent past, where he will eat innings and like have like a low 4s ERA and not be the greatest, but he's been getting his strikeout percentage way up there. He's almost at a strikeout per 9 right now. So they've been helping him get the most out of his changeup, which has helped him a lot get the most out of his whole repertoire. And it showed off. I mean, he's faced some pretty not great teams in the Nationals and the Diamondbacks. So that probably helps a lot when you're just like a solid pitcher facing pretty mediocre teams. But 21 whiffs in a start, like that's that's incredible. And you don't really see that out of just like any old AAA call up or whatever. So yeah, Anderson's definitely looking a lot better this year. I don't think his sub-3 ERA holds up throughout the year, but if he finishes like mid-3s, I think that could be that'll obviously be really valuable for the Dodgers, but I don't think I think that'll be great for him, because I mean, he'll be definitely thankful that he joined such an elite organization. And I don't think his 6-0 record holds up throughout the year, but the Dodgers are like the best team in baseball right now. So pretty cool to see Tyler Anderson going off. Not pretty cool for someone of my fandom.
Right. Reclamation job kind of pulled off by the Dodgers again. Career NL West, just kind of journeyman, and spent most of his time with the Rockies, a little bit with the Giants, and now maybe he's landed in the best spot for him in Los Angeles. Much to the chagrin of Jake Crumpler and everyone else in the NL West. Staying on the pitching side of things, Sonny Gray, this offseason, big acquisition by the Minnesota Twins. On the 24th against the Detroit Tigers, he went 7 innings pitched. He gave up 4 hits, 0 earned, 1 walk, just 10 strikeouts, 13 whiffs for 36.8 called strikes plus whiffs percentage. Really good start, and backs that up against the Royals on the 29th. Goes 6 innings this time, just 2 hits, 1 earned this time, no walks, 4 strikeouts, just 6 whiffs this time, 27.5% called strikes plus whiffs percentage in that one. He did unfortunately have to leave in the 7th inning in that game with pectoral soreness, but he's tied for second among all pitchers in the past week with 0.6 F4 on the season. Line not looking as good as Tyler Anderson, but he's 3-1, 33.2 innings pitched, 39 strikeouts in those though, 2.4 ERA and a sub-1 whip, 0.98 whip. Really strong showings from Sonny Gray. Hopefully he'll be able to kind of overcome the soreness, and it's just a precautionary measure to take him out. The Twins are languishing a little bit, but still going to chase after the wild card, and Sonny Gray is going to have to be a big part of that.
Definitely. He's been killing it. He really was not too great last year. He hasn't been great since like 2019. And he's really had an up and down career where he was like one of the up and coming aces with the A's, and then sort of fell apart when he went to New York, and then was up and down with the Reds. And now he's in Minnesota, where Minnesota is sort of underrated for getting the most out of starting pitchers. Like I think they do a good job. Like, you can sort of tell by like the makeup of the rotation, where it's like Sonny Gray is your ace, and you're sort of counting on a guy like that, like Dylan Bundy, your number 2, and then they're still like doing so well on the year. I think they're still in first place in the division. So it shows like this team doesn't really need to go out and get a bunch of stars to like get a lot out of their starting pitchers. So that sort of means it sort of insinuates that their rotation is, or that they're really good at pitching development. And they've done that with Sonny Gray. They've been helping him use his slider to great effects. You mentioned that start against the Tigers, where he went 13 whiffs, nearly 37% CSW with 10 Ks. That was really incredible. Definitely his best start of the year. He had recently come back from the IL. That was his 4th start back from the IL. And then in his 5th start back, he was really solid. That was last night. Only allowed 2 base runners. Pretty impressive. Let's hope he bounces back from that pectoral soreness. But yeah, a sub 2.5 ERA is going to play on any team in any league. But yeah, hope for the best for Sonny Gray. Still a big fan of him. I think he is going to continue to be really solid. Probably not in the Cy Young conversation or anything, but I think the Twins definitely got their money's worth. Or I guess their prospects worth.
Right. Hopefully he'll be able to come back. I know the Twins have already lost Chris Paddock, who was playing pretty well. The ERA didn't really show it, but he had a really good FIP, kind of backing that up. It'd be a big loss for them to have him out for another extended amount of time. Another honorable mention from the last week, 1 start from Sandy Alcantara, podcast favorite Sandy Alcantara, 8 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, 1 earned, 14 strikeouts to 0 walks. He's Sandy, of course. 27 insane. Whiffs that game, just ridiculous. 37% called strikes plus whiffs percentage. We love to talk about Sandy just about every opportunity we possibly can, and we may or may not do that a little bit later with some Cy Young debates. We love the guy.
Yeah. He's incredible. He's really not been inducing the strikeouts like we thought he would, because in the second half of last season, he was one of those guys that really improved his strikeout rate, and that sort of hinted at a higher ceiling that he could hit for a full season, maybe this year. And so that's why I had him as my NL Cy Young favorite. looking good so far. But he had not been striking out a lot of hitters. I don't think he's reached double-digit strikeouts at all this year, but he tied his career high with 14 strikeouts on the 28th against the Braves, and that's a lot of freaking strikeouts. And I think he's gone at least 8 innings in each of his last 3 starts. He threw a complete game in the start before this one, so he's been killing it, absolutely killing it of late. And I think it could keep up for the rest of the season. And this sort of gives us hope that maybe he's reaching that strikeout potential that he hinted at last year once again. And he's got 4+ months left to show us what he's got.
Yeah, we love Sandy Alcantara here. He's just the perfect blend of, like, he's an innings eater that gets soft contact, but when the strikeouts are really there, I mean, he throws gas. Just crazy wipeout slider as well. Just the complete pitcher when he's on his day. Segueing a little bit into some news from the past couple days, actually, the Rockies, Colorado Rockies podcast, non-favorite, very much so, dropped their City Connect jerseys. And me and Jake were talking about them, arguing a little bit. We normally, if you watch the pod, we just agree on everything. So we thought it'd be fun to sow a little discourse and talk about our personal power rankings of the current City Connect drop jerseys and where the Rockies may fall in our individual lists. So I'll hand the floor over to you, Jake. How do you want to do the power rankings?
I think we should go through your list, and then I'll tell you whether or not I agree with it and whether or not I would have that team higher or lower in the rankings. Because I'm just now realizing I was working so hard on the rundown and stuff that I forgot to make my power rankings. But I've got pictures of all of them. So if you're tuning in live, if you're watching this on YouTube or whatever, you'll be able to see the jerseys that we're talking about if you haven't yet seen them. So I think that will work well. I know which ones I like already, so I think it should go well that way. And they are in order of your power rankings. The slideshow is, so I think that should work out pretty well.
Okay, so I had already previously sent my list in our big group chat for the podcast that we talk about everything in. Number 1, I think the Washington Nationals have the greatest City Connect jerseys of the bunch, and I really don't think that another team's gonna have to do really well to beat this one. It's just so good. It ties in really well to the city itself with the cherry blossom. It looks sweet. I like pink. Pink's sweet too. With the slate gray, it just looks good, super clean. Represents the city well. Also ties in, I don't know if you've seen the Washington Wizards cherry blossom jerseys and uniforms. Those are really cool too. Also pink with a little bit of a gradient into a blue. Yeah, these are the best City Connect jerseys in my mind.
Yeah, I think they're pretty great. I don't think I would have them number 1, so I think I'd knock them down a couple spots. So there's a disagreement from me. I think there's just some that are just like elite level, and I think these are definitely top 3 for me. I love that they went so different from their regular jerseys, and that's what I love about these jerseys, and that's why that's why I think some of them are towards the bottom. Some of the other ones are at the bottom of the list because they don't deviate enough from their regular jerseys. But the Nationals one is really good. You don't see them like wearing a gray top like that. You don't see the pink in any of their other uniforms. So that's really cool. I like that they went with like the WSH on there. Like you don't see that in pretty much anybody's uniform, just like the abbreviation like that. So I think that's great. I think they look really good on Juan Soto right there. I mean, that man looks good in any jersey. The GOAT. But yeah, like you were saying, the cherry blossoms is really cool. It's like such like a clear tie to the city, and I think that's like one of the most perfect ones. Definitely top 3 for me, but not number 1.
Yeah, so number 2, I have the Kansas City Royals. If you've watched or listened to the podcast before, I have a very big soft spot for the Kansas City Royals. They are right next door neighbors to the Negro League Hall of Fame, which is just one of the coolest things in professional sports. I really like their jerseys. They are a little bit there's a theme, I think, with a lot of the City Connect jerseys, and it's the navy blue. It's everywhere. I would have liked to have seen these be like maybe a different shade of blue, anything else. But I love the Art Deco style. Their whole theme and spin on this is that they're the city of fountains, and everything ties into that. I love the Art Deco look and motif with all the fountain insignias and iconography. I just really like these jerseys. I think they're really clean. I like the stripes on the sleeves. The These are just really clean, simple, and that's what I think is important about the City Connect jerseys. I like clean and simple jerseys, and these fit that to a T. A lot of the other jerseys that I'll have later on this are either too boring to that effect or have too much going on. So these ones just hit the sweet spot for me. They're number 2.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm like doing my power rankings just like right now while we're working on this, just so I can sort of keep an update of how I'm feeling. So I had the Nationals at 2, and I think the Royals are 3. I think this one is really nice. Like it's definitely a deviation from the regular jerseys, but it's also like so clearly different from the regular jerseys. I love that KC logo is super cool with all the lines and stuff, and they have like a bunch of little marks on the jerseys that sort of hint at the history of the city and the history of the team. Can't really see it from this picture, but they've got like in lines on the jerseys and stuff on the back of the jerseys, and the Art Deco style of the logos and stuff are representative of the history of the city and that kind of stuff. So I think these are really great. I think these are just like really good baseball jerseys, you know, like they're not like particularly like amazing Royals jerseys, but I think these are just like super clean baseball jerseys, and they just look really solid.
Right. I know we're going to disagree on this next one, but this one is probably, if the Royals are not number 2, I have a hard time distinguishing these ones. This one and the Royals, and this is the Boston Red Sox City Connect jerseys. I know a lot of people aren't super big fans of these, but I love this jersey. I mean, yellow is my favorite color, so getting that out of the way. I love this jersey. I love that it's so different from the Red Sox normal jersey, and I love the meaning it has behind it. The City Connect is meant to do just that, connect with the city. The whole crux of the Boston Red Sox City Connect jerseys, if you're not watching, you're listening to this, can't see all the pictures that we're posting. They're yellow with the blue font. That's like the subway kind of ticker tape, the blue hats, and it's to signify Patriots Day in Boston, which is a huge deal, and it represents the Boston Marathon, which is obviously a huge part of the city, especially after the horrible bombing in 2013. So it's brought the city together, recovering from that tragedy, and these just represent that to me. And this is like the biggest City Connect of the City Connect jerseys in my mind, because it has such a deep meaning. They're clean jerseys, and just what they represent, I think, is really special.
I agree with all your sentiments about how they connect with the city, but I disagree with about everything else. I think they're so ugly. The color is
love them.
The color, it to me is so bad. Like, I like that it's different than the regular Red Sox jersey, but it is so different. I think the font is just like really meh, just like so basic that it doesn't really like stand out or like bring a lot to the jersey. I love that it connects to the Boston Marathon. It's like those colors, it's that font and everything like that. But I think that the yellow is like really ugly, especially for a baseball jersey. And I don't really like the baby blue. I think it might be a little different if you had the baby blue pants, but it sort of just looks like something that I would wear, you know, just like not matching at all. It doesn't really like go all together. Like, obviously the hat matches the lettering on the shirt, but I feel like that blue and yellow doesn't really go too well together. To me, it doesn't look that great. I love what it stands for and all that kind of stuff, so that's why it's not like very bottom, but I think it's bottom 4, bottom 3 for me, just because I really don't like the colors. I don't really like how it looks on a baseball field. Like I don't know, there's something about it. This was like one of the first one released, right?
Yes, this was the first one that came out.
Yeah,
I do think it would look better with the
couldn't believe
baby
my
blue
eyes.
pants.
Yeah, I
I
couldn't believe my eyes when I saw these. I agree. Yeah,
The font is meant to be like the numbers on the like the placard when you race. So I do like that too. I think they could have
like
done
I
a little
said,
bit better to make it like more like stand out a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I like them.
Like I said, I like the meaning behind all of it, but I think it looks really ugly.
That's fair. Moving on to number 4. The main reason we're doing this is the Colorado Rockies. If you watch the podcast, listen to it, anything, Rockies are running joke on our podcast. But these jerseys, I've come around on it. I originally sent Jake like the picture of them or whatever, and I said I really don't know if I like these or I hate them. I specifically said they look too much like the Coors Light logo, but they're supposed to look like the license plate, I believe, is what you told me. Which is obviously got the Green Mountains. I do really like these. I just think they're pretty cool. I like the green pants. That's really, really different. Really cool. I really like the Colorado font. The like the mountain part, I could almost kind of do without, but it looks okay. And I really like how the purple ties into it. I know you didn't put a picture of like the warm up jackets either, but the little purple on the back of the jerseys and the lining of the letters looks really nice compared to the green. You can see it with the swoosh, and the hats look really cool too. These are good jerseys. These are really good uniforms.
Yeah, I definitely think I have them top 5. I think there's 10 right now. 10 released so far. There's 11 released so far. So
11,
these are in
yeah.
the top 5, top half for sure. And I think it's hard for me. I think a lot of the ones in my bottom half have like colored pants like this. But I think these are good. Like a lot of the other colored pants, I don't think look well. Like I think in baseball, you need the white or the light gray pants, or it sort of looks like really goofy. It's sort of like, I mean, like baseball uniforms are like pajamas. You know what I mean? Like they're technically pajamas. They look like pajamas. If you saw somebody wearing that without like all the lettering on it, you'd be like, why is this guy wearing pajamas outside? So when you have like the colored pants like that, they really, really look like pajamas. But I think they pull these off. I have pants myself. I have dress pants myself that are exactly these color. So I think that they look pretty good. Personally, I like the mountains on there. I sort of like the gimmicks that they do on most of the jerseys. Some of them are not as great as others, but I think this one's really solid. Like it really plays. Like it's not just like, oh, we're in Colorado, we put mountains on our jerseys. It's like you guys are literally called the Rockies, so it sort of works well there. I personally don't really like the hat. It's sort of like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It sort of looks a little weird, especially for a baseball hat. It's not absolutely horrible, but I don't think it's the best. Just the logo on it. But the rest of it is really good. I wish they did more purple. I'm like a huge fan of the color purple. I'd say that's my favorite color by far. That's why we got the free baseball logo over there in the corner. That's purple. That was thanks to yours truly. But yeah, I love purple. I wish there was a little more because the Rockies are literally the only team in baseball that have purple on their jerseys. So that's one of the reasons I like them. I like the throwback Diamondbacks jerseys, the teal and purple ones. Those are some of the greatest of all times. So I wish they had a little more purple that stands out. But you pointed out to me in the Facebook chat that they have little purple hints like the Nike logo, the sleeve stripe, the lettering and the numbering and that kind of stuff. So I like that they threw a little, they made sure to keep some of the purple in there, but I think these are really solid. They're definitely not horrible. And I think they're pretty good. I'm excited to see their debut in 5 days. They debut these on the field, but they've been officially revealed already.
Right. I really like them. They're different, and that's what I think is good, but they're not too different. Another one that I kind of struggled with to place, I placed them a little bit higher than I think I might actually have them. And it's the Miami Marlins. I'm kind of split on this jersey. I think they do look good as like a fashion jersey, but I don't really love them as a baseball jersey. And their main like City Connect thing was, I think it was like wrapped up with like a minor league team in like the 50s, like the Cuban
Cuba?
Sugar, Cuban Sugar Kings. Like I don't really get the major connection to the city after that. I just don't really like that as much. I think they could have done something a lot cooler than that if they had done something like the Miami Heat's Miami Vice logos and jerseys, like that friend of the podcast and Deep Takes from Three host Gary would love. So I don't know. Yeah, for me they're good. I do like them as a fashion jersey. I don't like them as a baseball jersey. I think the only one that probably looks good in this is Jazz Chisholm. I think
He looks so good in it.
Yeah, like that's the main reason. Is like your star looks great in this jersey, but
Yeah.
other than that, it's whatever. Yeah, they don't have a major real like history factor for me, and I do like the fashion jersey aspect in a way, but I don't like that was the intent. If that makes sense. Like their VP or whatever basically said like, oh yeah, we wanted to blend and like make a cool fashion jersey. Like make a baseball jersey that looks good, or
By
make a
fashion
fashion
jersey, you
jersey
mean,
that
like-
looks better.
By fashion jersey, you mean like something that like fans would wear and stuff?
Right. Like either make it look better as a fashion jersey or make it look cleaner as a baseball jersey. And that's
Yeah.
my big thing with it, is it toes
Mhm.
the line between the two, and it's like a pretty decent fashion jersey, and it's a pretty mid, for lack of a better term, baseball jersey. I'm just
Mhm.
not the biggest fan, but I do have it at 5 because the rest of the ones on the list, apart from the next one, I'm not too hot on.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to disagree with you big time on this one because these are my favorite. These are my favorite City Connect jerseys, and I think it's like by far for me. I love how different they are from the regular Marlins jerseys. I think the regular Marlins jerseys are already pretty similar to like the Miami Heat, Miami Vice ones. They've got those colors already, and I think like that one would be like just such a clear choice that I love that these were like so unexpected. Like you wouldn't have guessed that they would do something like this. I think the Cuban aspect of it is that there's tons of Cubans living in Miami and in Florida specifically because it's so close to the country. A lot of people are of Cuban descent in Florida, so that's probably the major part of that. But I just love how these look. Like I love the color scheme. There's lots of red and blue in baseball, but I think these are sort of like different reds and blues. You don't see a lot of, I mean, you see a lot of powder blue, but you don't really see like baby blue and this, whatever this like red, orange, red is. I really enjoy it. And the pinstripes are like very subtle, but I think they look really great. Like you said, they look great on star shortstop Jazz, or second baseman, I guess, Jazz Chisholm Jr. But these are my favorite. I love how they look on the field. I love how different they are from the Marlins ones. And I just think like for me personally, there's nothing to say have against it, especially because like you have like the hats, also the logo is just like completely separate from any Marlins logos and stuff. So I think this one's really great. I can sort of see why some others might like it or might not like it, like you, but I these are my favorite by far. But sometimes we have disagreements.
Well, I do like them.
Uh-huh.
For me, I mean, I have them at 5. I don't particularly love any of the ones like in the bottom 5 that I have listed, like at all. So they're good. I just think they could have been a little bit better. So they're probably sitting around the middle for me. Moving on to my favorite baseball team, the Chicago Cubs. I obviously love their City Connect jerseys. They are a lot more on the simpler side of things, but they're sporting the Wrigleyville logo, obviously, because they do have to contend with the Chicago White Sox. And they owe a lot of their history to the federal landmark, Wrigley Field. And a lot of their iconography for the rest of these jerseys is just really, really honing in on Chicago. And I don't know if you've seen Chicago's flag, but it's baby blue and the reds and the whites. It just looks good. It's clean. I do like the navy blue with the powder blue. The Royals jerseys look very similar to it. I do like all the homages to Wrigley and to Chicago. I just think this is a clean jersey. Obviously for my favorite team, it just looks good. So there you go.
Yeah, it's hard to hate on your own team's jersey, but I'm gonna do that later. I am not a huge fan of these. I don't think they're one of the worst ones. I think they're definitely like in the bottom half or top half, bottom half. I mean, there's 11 of them, so you don't really have a clear cut.
Right.
I think they're right in the middle, right there. I like the Wrigleyville aspect of the jersey. I like that they went with that rather than just like, I don't know, anything else as the lettering and stuff. What I don't like I've mentioned before, I don't like the pants. I don't think that they look that great. I don't like the whole colored pants like that, or the fact like that the whole thing matches like that. With the dark blue on top and bottom, and that you only have like the socks and the undershirts deviating from that, and maybe the bill of the hat as well. But it doesn't deviate enough from like the regular jersey for me. Like I think it's very similar to the Royals jersey where it doesn't deviate a lot, but this one deviates even less than that one, and that's sort of a problem for me. I just don't think they stand out a lot, like it's just I don't know, like they darkened the color a little bit and gave it a different name across the chest. But other than that, I don't think they're that great. They're definitely not horrible. They don't look horrible on the baseball field, but not one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, I'm just a big fan of like the light blues and kind of keying in on the Chicago flag aspect, just because
Yeah.
it's like one of the only really recognizable like city flags that I think looks any good. So I thought that was cool. Moving on to some of the stinkers in my mind. I don't really like the Astro City Connects. I like the socks, but it's another one where they're like, make it navy. We don't know what else to do. Make it navy. They'll throw like kind of like a hot orange on there, and I get it's supposed to look like like the launch or whatever. I hate the number on the pants. I think it looks stupid. Don't like it. I think the hat is pretty sweet, I gotta say. I don't really like the piping on the jersey either. I don't know. For me, everyone was on Twitter was like, oh yeah, this one looks really good, and I'm like, I don't really see it. It's not huge on it. Whatever. I also saw a bunch of people on Twitter posting the picture of Alex Bregman and with the double chin, which I thought was funny. So yeah, just not big on these jerseys. They're kind of meh. I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to agree. I like I've said multiple times already, not a big fan of the dark colored pants, and these might be the second worst ones of the dark colored pants. To me, I don't know, the dark navy blue on the pants is just absolutely horrible. I really like the orange to yellow gradient. I normally like that in most things, so I think that part looks really cool. Like you said, the hat is dope. I think Space City is fine. I like the font on that. I think is cool.
I like that too.
Yeah, I think most of what I like about it is the orange to yellow gradient. I think that's cool to have on a jersey. I also agree those numbers sort of seem like they're
out of place. It's in a weird spot.
Yeah, like they slipped or something. They like slipped off the chest. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I think most of it has to do with the pants. Let me see if I look at it with the pants covered. Yeah, the jersey I think is nice. I think the jersey looks good, but the pants sort of just take away from all of it, sort of make it just look not too great.
Yeah. They're just,
and that's why I went with these full-size pictures so that people could see the pants on all of them and like see what I'm talking about, versus like the Royals one where you have the normal pants and then you have the Astros one. It's just like, oh, okay. Are you wearing? I'm literally wearing shorts that are that color right now. Like my pants look exactly like Altuve's. Like, and I don't look like a baseball player right now.
Right. So moving on to your favorite team, the San Francisco Giants. I love this picture specifically because it looks like the clip in Happy Gilmore where all the dead people are looking down at Happy Gilmore from the clouds. This photo shoot was goofy. I hate the hats. I don't like the logo there, the big G. I do kind of like the bridge on the sleeves. That's kind of cool. Yeah. And I like orange. I really like orange. I hate these. They look goofy. They look like what someone would make in MLB The Show. Yeah, they are ugly. I think a lot of, the City Connect too, or whatever, was a little bit ham-fisted where it's like, oh, what San Francisco got? I don't know, just slap the bridge on there.
Yeah.
And that seemed kind of like it to me. Yeah, I don't like them, and I really hate the photo shoot too. The photo shoot was bad. I know there's one picture specifically of like Brandon Crawford, and it's just him with like the fog. I know it's supposed to be fog, but it looks like he died, and it's like a tribute to him.
Eloy Jimenez meme.
Yeah.
Just wait till Brandon Crawford gets injured, and then we're gonna see that as like a meme format.
Yeah, it looks like he died. Yeah, these are goofy. I don't like them.
I agree. I obviously I like them probably a little more than you just because I'm a Giants fan, but I think there's a lot that's wrong with these. The shade of orange is different than the regular shade of orange.
It's like creamsicle orange. It's weird.
Yeah, and it's like neon too. It's like I really don't think the shade of orange by itself is good. I think the fog gimmick is really goofy. That G is not a particularly appealing G. And it doesn't do anything to have like the fog gradient on there. Like I get the gimmick and it doesn't work. I think like the Giants don't have any just plain white jerseys. Like they go with the cream colored homes. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
I like the off-white color at least.
Yeah, exactly. And I think those look really good.
Yeah, me too.
This doesn't look good at all with the white. And like you said, the only part that I really like is the bridge on the sleeves. I think that was definitely the best idea. I think it was one of the best ideas out of all of the City Connect jerseys. I think that like connects to the city. It looks really cool. Like it's subtle, yet it's also like I can't really think of the word I'm trying to think of, but it's subtle and then also like still cool on the jerseys,
Right.
on the sleeves and stuff. So I think that's like the saving grace that keeps it from being like bottom 3 for me, but it's definitely in the lower half because of the coloring and the gimmick. And yeah, this photo shoot was pretty goofy.
Yeah, they just don't look enough like a Major League Baseball jersey to me,
Yeah.
and that's what kind of kills them for me. They look
Also,
like they'd be like a Japanese team jersey, and like
for real.
or like or like a Korean baseball jersey.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Rest
they're
in
just
peace, Mauricio Dubon and Kevin Gausman.
Alex Wood and Brandon Crawford. So yeah, they're not. I'm not big on them. The bottom 3 for me would be started by the Chicago White Sox. I just don't like these. They're like a lot of people are like, oh, they're really cool. These are boring. Yeah, they're just really boring. It's just a black jersey with pinstripes. Southside, yeah, whatever. I just don't particularly like them. They're just not. They're not moving the needle for me. And I know I might be in the minority, but yeah, like they're just too generic. Too generic for me. Don't really like them. They're not different enough, like really to be like, oh wow, those are sweet. Like, nah, I don't care.
Yeah, I think these are middle of the pack for me, right next to the Cubs. I think those are interchangeable. I don't think the dark pants are that horrible, and I think they're saved by the pinstripes just a little bit. But yeah, like I said with the Cubs, it's just like not much of like a change from the regular jerseys. I mean, the White Sox already have black jerseys, but they go with it's just the Sox in the top right corner. I mean, the S on the south side is literally just the Sox logo, so
Right.
it's not really changed much. I think the south side looks cool, and it's obviously like I don't know, south side of Chicago. You got the north side for the Cubs, so that sort of goes well there. But yeah, there's not much going on here other than the white pinstripes on the black jerseys and with a all black uniform. I think it's pretty middle of the pack, because I don't think it's like absolutely horrible, but there's not really too many saving graces to keep it out of the bottom half.
Yeah, for me, they just look like they try with the Marlins. They tried but failed more, trying to just make a jersey that was cool that people would buy, instead of like actually trying to make a jersey that really connects to the city. And I know there's supposed to be some iconography from the city and from like Chicago American Giants, but it's just like you said, it's just a black jersey with pinstripes with the Sox logo that says Southside. It's like, it's like something you'd buy like at the mall. Like you see, like, oh, this is cool. Like when you're 14 years old. I don't really like them. To the bottom 2, the Diamondbacks are boring. It's the same thing. The Diamondbacks jersey is just really boring. I do like the kind of like sand color or whatever. It's like a gold sand color. And I do like the Los Serpientes thing. Like that's pretty cool. But I mean, other than that, it's just kind of boring. The logo on the sleeve's okay, but yeah, this just it's not my favorite.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you here. I like them. I like the color on them. I like how much different they are than all of their other jerseys from the past. I love that they have Serpientes on there rather than just Arizona or Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I like that, and I like the script. I like the kind of cursive script. I do like the color. Snake. It's just like they weren't very exciting to me.
Yeah, they're not too exciting, but I sort of like that. I like how subdued they are, sort of where it's just like you wouldn't really realize that as a City Connect unless you had seen previous Diamondbacks jerseys. I think they work really well. This picture is really funny with the jeans and the shorts. I think is pretty hilarious. But yeah, I like that these are simple. I like how you have like the snake that makes up the S and the underline for all of it. These are top 5 for me personally. I don't think they are in the bottom half, so this one might be the one we disagree on the most. I think these are really good. I think they go with I think they have white pants for this one. I couldn't find the official pictures, so. But that's a saving grace for me for most of them, is just not having colored pants. But yeah, I really like these. I like these for a while. I just there's not much to dislike about them, which is probably what keeps them out of the bottom half for me.
Yeah, they also released these ones last year, and that was when the Diamondbacks were god awful. So I
Yeah.
think it kind of hurt them not having like basically any relevance, like actually playing in them where they did anything.
Yeah.
So it's like it's tough to see them and they just be like, oh wow, this is a cool jersey, and the team just gets absolutely like slammed.
Mhm.
So yeah, they're just not my favorite. Moving on to dead bottom, I know we already agree on this.
Consensus.
The Dodgers have the worst ones, and they're so boring. They didn't change anything. It just says Los Dodgers, and I know it's supposed to be indicative of like the Hispanic community in Los Angeles, and talking about Fernando Valenzuela and Fernando Mania in the '80s. They're boring. It doesn't change anything from their formula. It literally just says Los Dodgers, and it's blue Dodgers jersey.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is a lazy jersey. I think these ones also work the lead. I like the colored pants on most of them, except for this one. I think these ones, it's just
So
like
bad.
let's make it Los Dodgers, make the whole thing blue. All right, what else are we gonna do today? Yeah, these would look a lot better with the thing is like these would look better with the white pants, but then they just look like a Dodgers jersey, and
Yeah.
there's like no point in doing that. So yeah, they're not
Yeah.
not it.
These are. I'm glad that you also hate these as much as I do, because
Yeah, they're
then it
boring,
just
man.
makes me not just look like a Dodgers hater, which I definitely am. But I wouldn't say I'm only. I wouldn't say that that's the reason why I hate these. Like you said, the pants are absolutely horrible. Like we saw the other ones. These are worse than the Astros one somehow. That blue is just does not work as pants. They just like really don't look good. I'm
They're just
pretty sure
wearing
the Dodgers.
jeans.
Yeah. Yeah, and not cute jeans.
Yeah, like
Um,
yeah, they're weird. I'm not a fan at all.
yeah. It's I'm pretty sure they have a Dodgers jersey that is Los Dodgers. Like I'm pretty
I
sure they
think
do
so
that.
too.
Yeah, so I'm just like, how is this different? Like it's just the Los Dodgers jersey, which they already have, and then with ugly pants. And then they were like, oh, let's also put Los Dodgers on the hat, which I think looks horrible. Like all of the other ones, they just have like a regular logo on the hat, either the regular logo or the like with the Royals one here, you have the KC that is on the chest on the hat as well, and the Nationals have a new logo on there, and we saw the Rockies one. They have that circle logo, which I think outdoes this one. Like having that many letters on your hat, I think does not look good. And there's literally just like nothing else is on here. And it's just these are so boring. They don't change anything. They literally have these jerseys. I don't even like. I understand that they're City Connect, how they're City Connect, but like we've seen these jerseys before. The pants make it just absolutely horrible. I think the regular Dodgers jerseys are really solid because they're so like they're so clean, the regular home ones, and these are just absolutely horrible. The pants are just terrible. But I'm glad that we at least agree on this one.
Yeah, I just think they could have done something cooler. Like looking back, like you can look at the picture and see like the cool graffiti aspect, like with the wall and like the lowrider culture and like graffiti culture and like stuff like that. Like there was so many cool things they could have done, and it's like nah, like let's just make the Dodgers jersey, but a little bit different.
Mexican flag colors. That would have been
Right,
sick.
like that would be awesome. They just didn't deviate too much from the plan, and
At
like
all.
yeah, like and I like the ones that towed the line between being like good classic, looking ish baseball jerseys
Mhm.
and like ones that were
New
different
age.
enough from the normal
Yeah.
things. And these
Yeah.
ones are just like they're boring regular baseball jerseys because they didn't change anything. And if they tried to do anything different, I mean, like I said, they didn't change anything. So it's like, well,
Mhm.
what's the point?
Yeah.
They're lame.
Well, that was lit. That was
Yeah.
I'm glad I made this slideshow. It definitely helped.
Oh yeah, this was fun. Moving on, this is more fun things. Baseball. A couple of top prospects got called up in the last couple of days, actually.
Mhm.
Number one prospect for the Atlanta Braves, Michael Harris II, was called up and debuted yesterday. He's just 21 years old. He's a left-handed batter and thrower. He's 6 foot, 195. He was drafted in the third round, pick 20 in the third round, 2019, number 98 overall. He was a top 100 prospect, number 59, according to MLB Pipeline. Made a really, really sick diving catch yesterday, barehanded it in center, and tore it up in Double-A, called straight up from Double-A. Hit 305, 372, 506, 5 home runs, 11 steals, 19.9% K percent, which is pretty good for a young hitter trying to hit for power, with a 128 WRC plus. Yeah, good for the Braves, who really kind of needed some outfield depth, and whose farm system has kind of been run ragged in the last few years. I know they had their big stars come up like Acuna, Swanson, Albies, and now Michael Harris is going to add to that. So, maybe he's here to stay.
Yeah, let's hope so. They really needed some outfield help. They had Travis Demerit out there. I think that's how you pronounce his last name, but he was playing in center field a lot. He was a top prospect, I think, for the Tigers for a while. Hasn't really panned out. So he was sent down to the minors in a corresponding move, and they definitely needed to replace Adam Duvall's bat out there in the outfield because he's really been struggling. He's sort of like a boomer bust guy, but he was batting like sub 200, not many home runs, which is like basically all you have him out there for. He's a better fielder than many would think by his size, but Michael Harris is a way better fielder than Duvall. He's like going to be a perennial Gold Glover. I think he's very similar to Christian Pache, who was a top Braves prospect and got traded to the A's in the Matt Olson deal. And I think Harris is very similarly amazing out there in Pache. I think Pache is a little better, but Harris is amazing. You saw that in that nearly barehanded catch on a diving play in center field. I think that was yesterday, and he's really good. I think he's definitely going to be a much better hitter than Pache. He's really fast, super athletic. He's got a little bit of power, or maybe even might have a lot of bit of power, but we haven't seen him above AA, which could lead to some struggles once he reaches or once he has some time up here in the majors. But I think he should be really good. Got his first hit in his first game. When you see a guy with a sub 20% strikeout rate, that usually bodes well. It's hard to tell how good he's going to be because we haven't seen him in AAA. And but yeah, all I'm hoping for the best for him. I picked him up in my home league fantasy league, so I'm hoping he does pretty well. Pretty interesting prospect. Definitely a good real life player.
Yeah, hopefully he'll pan out as a hitter a lot better than Christian Pache has so far. Moving on to a pitcher that made his debut today against my Chicago Cubs, Ethan Small for the Milwaukee Brewers. Just 25 years old, left-handed pitcher, big guy, 6'4", 215. He was first round pick in 2019 and pick 28. Not just his first strikeout today, went 2 2/3, gave up 2 runs, 4 strikeouts. He's got this weird, wonky, like languid pitching motion where he throws it so high over his head, so rears back and lets it go. Tore it up so far in AAA this year. 38 and a third innings pitched, 1.88 ERA, 1.12 WHIP, and 34% K percentage. Yeah, not the most promising debut, but I mean, he looks 10 times better than than what those numbers say, and he's going to probably be a big part of this future Milwaukee Brewers rotation that just keeps pumping out arms.
He struggled in his third inning today. Apparently he couldn't find the strike zone after 2 really solid innings, but those minor league numbers are really good. He's always had really impressive minor league numbers, which sort of helps. He throws in like the low 90s, but I think sometimes, like, I don't know why this is, but lefties don't really throw as hard as righties in general, which that's just like a thing that everybody knows about for baseball. I'm not sure why that is the case. But so he throws in the low 90s, but he's got, like you were saying, such a funky delivery, and he's probably got a lot of extension because he's so tall. So that definitely helps it play up. And I think he's going to be really solid. We've seen in the recent past with all of the Brewers' top pitching prospects that they sort of do a bullpen role in their rookie year, or they do the swingman type thing. Brandon Woodruff,
Corbin Burns did that as well.
Woodruff, Corbin Burns. Yeah, they both did that in their first year. They were pitching out of the bullpen, in and out of the rotation. We saw that with Aaron Ashby so far this year, and last year at the end of the year, he's been in and out of the rotation. Freddie Peralta as well, pitched out of the bullpen. Yeah, pitched out of the bullpen to start his career, and then he entered the rotation last year. So I could definitely see Small either switching in and out of the rotation or entering the bullpen after this first start. I don't know if they limited his innings because he wasn't that great today, or because they want to keep his innings totals low, which they've done in the past, like I've said, with their top pitching prospects. We just saw Freddie Peralta hit the IL with shoulder or something, and then Woodruff hit the IL today. So there is a spot in the rotation, and they're only at 5 men. So if Woodruff or Peralta comes back, they can go 6 men. They've sort of done that this year in having Ashby enter the rotation in weeks that they have a lot of games like in a row, so that he will be the sixth man. But right now, I think Ashby is the number 5 starter and Small is the 6th. But with those two guys on the IL, they have only 5 starters. So those guys are probably going to be clear starters, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Small once one or both of those aces come off the IL. Are they going to make him the clear 6th starter throughout the year? Are they going to use him like Ashby in and out of the bullpen? Or when both of them come back, does he get sent back down, or does he just go into a full-time like bullpen long relief role? It will be interesting to see. I think he can be really solid though, and his prospect pedigree suggests that he will. It just might not be for another year or two like we've seen with the rest of their top pitching prospects.
Right. He's going to be a big part of them. I could see it. And they've had guys come in and make their debuts and kind of get lit up. Burns done it, Ashby's done it, and look at them now. So, big room to improve, and he definitely will. On the other side of the coin, that in today's game, Nelson Velasquez, self-proclaimed best friend to new Cubs star Christopher Morel, came in today, made his debut. Collected his first hit as an infield single. He's 23 years old. He's a right-handed hitter and thrower as well. 6 foot, 190. He was drafted in the 5th round, number 165 overall, pick 30 in 2017, and he's kind of been like a best-kept secret in that farm system. Came up last year into the Arizona Fall League and just tore it up and really shot himself onto the prospect map.
He was MVP.
He was Fall League MVP. Didn't really pick it up in spring training. But in AA this year, he killed it. 288, 394, 700 slug, 9 home runs, 5 steals. K rate is really high, 35%, 172 WRC plus, and struggled in AAA. 214, 291, 414. He hit 3 home runs, 4 steals, 36.7 strikeout percentage, and an 87 WRC plus. He has come up into the big league team, most likely because of an injury to Jonathan Villar, who had to go to the IL today. He snapped a resistance band and it hit him in the face. So
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, he snapped the resistance band and it popped him in the face. So he had to go on the IL.
Damn, that's got to be the most embarrassing way to hit the IL.
Yeah. Oh no. Brandon Morrow ended up going out for the season like 3 years ago, putting on a pair of pants. So that one's probably worse in my opinion.
Zach Plesac did that 2 years ago. He like broke his nail off, like putting on pants angrily. I think somebody else like slipped on some stairs while like carrying like a big hunk of meat into their house. I forget who that was.
Oh yeah. And then Trevor Bauer also got hurt because he cut his hand playing with his drone. So
yeah. Somebody else also cut their finger doing the dishes.
Oh, he played for the Indians too at the time, I believe. But yeah, he's come up, got his first hit today. Back on track. Yeah. Hopefully he can be a guy that's gone basically straight to AA. He has struggled pretty mightily in AAA, but they gave him an aggressive number choice, so he might be here to stay. He got number 4, so who knows?
Ooh.
The Cubs Cubs aren't going anywhere this year. They might as well let some of the younger guys play if they're ready to. So good news on the prospect front. Always love seeing top prospects come up. He was number 16 in the Cubs system, which is looking really good. Another Cubs promotion today. One of their fastest rising prospects, Pete Crow Armstrong, got promoted from Myrtle Beach to High A. I want to say he's either High A or AA. So
a couple years away.
Good news for the Cubs.
Velasquez though, he's got big power, but like you said, you read out those strikeout rates, and those might hold him back a lot in the majors. He might need some more work in the minors to get that strikeout percentage down. But like you said, he's only 23 years old, so he's got more than enough time to get that stuff under control.
Yeah. So back on the weird baseball news front with weird injuries, we had a weird altercation that everyone's heard of. It's been on the news. Jock Peterson and Tommy Pham got into a little altercation for a game. This is the stupidest baseball news in a couple of years, in my opinion. Tommy Pham got mad at Jock Peterson over a dispute over fantasy football from over a year ago. So the whole crux of the argument was Jock Peterson said he put a player on injured reserve when they were labeled as out, and then just basically didn't take them out when they were ready to. even though that's something that you can do. You can just stash them on the IL until you want to bring them off. Literally every league and every fantasy format that I know of does that. Tommy Pham got mad, but then it later came out that Tommy Pham basically got mad at a GIF roasting the Padres. He got mad, apparently quit the league, and then held a grudge for over a year. Slapped Jock Peterson while he was playing for the Reds. Got himself a nice 3-game suspension, and he just honestly came out of this whole thing looking like a moron. So, yeah, weird baseball news. What's your take on this, Jake? I kind of am already set in mind, but I'd love to see what you have to say.
Yeah, this one's definitely interesting. I got Tommy Pham on my home league fantasy team, but I'm a Giants fan, so I have affiliations for both. Tommy Pham looking so goofy. I don't know how you could get so mad about something like that to like physically assault somebody. It was definitely like Will Smith-esque slapping Chris Rock for sure. There's like a really grainy video of somebody like zoomed into the outfield of him slapping Jock Peterson on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it was a pretty funny. I mean, I'm glad Peterson didn't do anything and that like nothing really came of it and like nobody got injured or anything. But yeah, Tommy Pham definitely doesn't need to be assaulting anybody for fantasy stuff, no matter how much money is on the league. I thought it was really pretty funny, pretty goofy. I'm glad Peterson. I think Peterson is clearly in the right here. He may have been doing sus stuff on the fantasy football side, but it definitely doesn't need to result in violence. And also I think the resulting GIF that was sent roasting the Padres compared to the Giants and the Dodgers, I don't know, I've never seen anybody get so upset about a meme. Pretty good. Shout outs to Jock. He really got the best of Pham there, and Pham is now, like you said, suspended for 3 games. I think he'll be back tomorrow. The Reds are off today, so hopefully he's got that out of his system. We've already talked about a Tommy Pham altercation earlier this year. He said he wanted to fight Luke Voit after he trucked Tyler Stevenson at the plate. So Tommy Pham is either a hothead or somebody that just like wants to show everybody that he's tough. Yeah, which I like. I don't know. It's Yasiel Puig-esque. I sort of like the players with like that much fire and stuff, but this one definitely didn't deserve the fire that Tommy Pham was bringing.
Yeah, I just thought this whole thing was really goofy that you would hold a grudge for over a year over a GIF.
Yeah,
and I know Tommy Pham tried to save face, and he's like, "Oh, the league was for a lot of money, and he was messing with my money," but he dropped out of the league, so it obviously couldn't have been that important to him. And I mean, like he had the big contract with the Padres, and now like. I just don't get it. He's playing for the do nothing Reds, going nowhere, like gonna go try to get in a fight over something stupid. He seemed like he came off kind of soft in this to me, that he would try to get. I understand him wanting to fight Luke Voit over the Tyler Stevenson thing. That's backing your teammate up. This is like dumb, and you just kind of look soft that you're this mad over a GIF in fantasy football. Really goofy. So moving on into the big crux of our show, past the debate about all the cool City Connect jerseys. We're going to talk about some Cy Young race debates, and we'll see where either of us are standing on these for the big favorites for the Cy Young this year. So kicking things off in the National League, the first grouping we're going to talk about is going to be Joe Musgrove from San Diego Padres, Sandy Alcantara, and Corbin Burns. Musgrove, 58 innings pitched, 1.86 ERA, 2.71 FIP, 0.98 WHIP, 25.3% strikeout percentage, and leading the National League in FWAR, 1.7, versus Sandy Alcantara, who is leading all of baseball in innings pitched, 72 2/3, 2 ERA, 3.24 FIP, one even WHIP, 24% strikeout percentage, 1.5 FWAR. And Corbin Burns, 64 2/3, with 1.95 ERA, 3.3 WHIP, 3.03 WHIP, leading all of baseball with in WHIP, 0.82 WHIP, which is just disgusting. Also leading the National League strikeout percentage with almost 31.8%, and he's worth also 1.5 FWAR. I feel like I kind of have my horse in the race, but I'd like to see who you have to say first.
Yeah, this one's hard for me. I love Sandy. I picked him preseason to win the NL Cy Young, but I have Musgrove on my home team, on my home league fantasy team. So I definitely have affiliations for both. And Corbin Burns is the reigning NL Cy Young Award winner. So I think this is one of the most interesting races in the National League. We'll do 2 debates for each league, so that'll be 4 in total. We did the MVP debates last week, so if anybody's interested in checking those out, definitely check back on the last episode. And I had also said that we were doing the monthly check-in this podcast, and I completely forgot that the month wouldn't be over by the time we were having this podcast. So that will definitely be next week.
Nice.
We'll be covering the monthly awards, and on Wednesday, on Thursday, my monthly awards article should be coming out, or monthly top performers for fantasy. So definitely check that out too if you're interested in seeing what's gonna be what happened in the last month of May. But back to the matter at hand. Let's talk about Musgrove, Alcantara, and Burns. I think I have to side with. This one's really hard because Musgrove has 8 starts this year. I think 8 or 9, and he's had a quality start in every single one of them. He leads his league in ERA and is tied for the league in FWAR. And then you have Sandy, like you said, leading all of baseball in innings pitched, but he's got the lowest strikeout percentage amongst the 3 guys here. He's the only one with an ERA that's not below 2, and he's the only one with a WHIP that isn't below 1. Both the ERA and WHIP are exactly at 1 and 2, respectively. So it's pretty interesting. Then you have Burns. I think Burns for me is the number 3. I think his numbers make him like he might be the clear number 1 based off just the numbers, since he's got like the sub 2 ERA. He's got the best WHIP in all of baseball. He's the only one with a strikeout percentage above 30%, and he's like nearly like 7% above Musgrove, who has the second highest among these 3. But I think, I mean, I don't want to play favorites, so I think I'm going to go Musgrove. Like, I want it to be Sandy, but I think Musgrove clearly has the best numbers and has been the most consistent throughout the year. If we're talking about rest of season, I think it's going to be like Burns and Sandy. I don't think Musgrove holds up throughout the year at this rate, but he's been really impressive so far. That ERA is amazing. He hasn't lost a game so far this year. The FIP is really good. He's got the best FIP among these 3 as well. So that proves that, like, he's doing well in the strikeout and the ground ball departments. He's not allowing home runs, and leading your league in FWAR is always really good. And to point out, we do FWAR for all of these players, and FWAR is FIP based, which means that the number is going to be more, it's going to be related to the FIP number rather than the ERA number, where Baseball Reference WAR, BWAR is ERA based. So those will be different numbers comparatively. But yeah, I'm going Musgrove with this one. I think he's just been so consistent throughout all of his starts this year, and but we'll see how it goes going forward. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to ride with Sandy on this one. He's leading all of baseball in innings pitched. He's obviously the biggest workhorse of this group. Corbin Burns isn't too far behind, but I think there's going to be a little bit of voter fatigue with Corbin Burns. A lot of guys don't win it back-to-back years unless your name is Jacob deGrom. So the thing with Sandy is, if his strikeout numbers tick up and he just continues to get the volume that he's at, he's just going to run away with it in my mind. You know, I mean, he's still got a 2 ERA even. I know you talked about like the difference in WHIP, but I mean, he's like he's chasing Joe Musgrove there. He's like 0.2 points off. So I feel like as long as the strikeout percent goes up, and he can kind of have a couple more games like against the Braves yesterday where he goes 8 innings and he strikes out 14. He's the big favorite for me, just because, I mean, he's nasty. He's so nasty. He throws gas. Plays for the worst team of the 3 as well, unfortunately. But also plays like Musgrove in a way. He plays in more of a pitcher-friendly ballpark. Just needs a little bit of defense behind him, I think. But yeah, I'd have to go with Sandy here. I'm gonna ride with our boy, even though you're not. You're selling him out right now. So
fake fan.
Yeah, fake fan alert. So I'm gonna ride with Sandy on this one. I think he's got the biggest chance because of the volume that he'll get compared to Musgrove, and especially like Burns. I feel like if Burns he's going to have to be the workhorse and like the ace for the Brewers. And I just don't quite see him like really holding up as well as Sandy will, because Sandy's just consistently had that mileage on him already. So
Yep. I definitely see both sides. I'm more saying Joe Musgrove so far this year, but I can definitely see any of these guys running away with it for the rest of the year. But that is soon to come. That's why we play the games.
Oh yeah. Moving on to our second debate, it's going to be Philadelphia Philly Zach Wheeler versus Kyle Wright of the Atlanta Braves versus Pablo Lopez, early ERA leader, also teammate Sandy Alcantara. Zach Wheeler's gone 51 in the third innings pitched. He's got 3.16 ERA. He's got a 2.38 FIP, which leads the National League FIP. 1.15 WHIP, 27.5% strikeout percentage. Also tied with Musgrove for the league lead in F4 at 1.7. Kyle Wright. This is the year of Kyle Wright. Kind of delivering on some of that promise. 53 and 2/3 innings pitched. He's got a 2.68 ERA with 2.82 FIP. Pretty close together there. 1.04 whip, 1.04 whip, excuse me. I'll get that right eventually. 28.4% strikeout percent, 1.3 F4 versus Pablo Lopez, who's got 53 on the dot innings pitched. He's got a 2.4 ERA, 2.87 FIP with a sub-1 whip at 0.96, 27.1% strikeout percent, also worth 1.3 F4. I don't think there is as clear cut of a leader of this group as it originally looks, but I would love to hear your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is another one where I've got affiliations across the board. I mean, not with Pablo Lopez, don't have him on any teams, but I think he's been really good so far this year. I just traded for Kyle Wright yesterday in my fantasy league, traded Brian Hayes and Alec Thomas for Kyle Wright because the guy that I traded with had dropped Brian Hayes after like the first game of the season because he thought he was injured, and I picked him up, and then he's been kicking himself the whole year. So he's been trying to get Ke'Bryan back for the whole season.
His arm a little bit.
Yeah. So I got Kyle Wright. I hope it pays off. It's going to take Ke'Bryan sort of not going off and Kyle Wright continuing what he's been doing and Alec Thomas not making a major adjustment. But I think it's a pretty even trade nonetheless. But yeah, so I've got affiliations with Kyle Wright now. I also have Zach Wheeler on my team. So got a lot of guys in this race right now. And I also agree. It's hard to find a clear winner. It's hard to go with Wheeler. Like you wouldn't have expected to see him on there, especially after he started the season off so slow and started the season late as well. So that's why he has an ERA north of 3, and he's the only guy on this list that doesn't have an ERA in the 2s or the 1s. So it's pretty hard to choose, but like that FIP definitely recognizes that he has a horrible defense behind him in Philadelphia. I don't think I'm going to be able to choose him though. And I think I'm going to go with Kyle Wright. I think Pablo Lopez definitely deserves a lot of credit for what he's done so far this year, but I think Kyle Wright is definitely the best one so far based off his numbers. He's been throwing a lot more innings than you would expect from a young pitcher. His ERA is very solid. Like he doesn't lead the league in any of these statistics, but he leads this group in strikeout percentage, which I think helps push him ahead, and he's sort of in the middle of the pack of all the other threes. But I think for me, it's Kyle Wright. I think he's been really solid this year. Going forward, I think I'd have to side with Wheeler going forward as the best of the 3. But so far this year, through about 2 months of the season, I'm siding with Kyle Wright for the Cy Young Award winner among these 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride the dark horse pick here, and I'm gonna go with Pablo Lopez. Pablo Lopez basically was untouchable to start the year. No one hit him hard. Still striking out guys, even at a reduced rate from the previous year. He doesn't walk anybody. He's got one of the lowest walk rates in all of baseball. He's just really good. He plays for a relatively decent defense, kind of like Sandy Alcantara in the same ballpark. And he's just been really good to start the year. I know we're judging all of these based on F4, and he's at 1.3 F4. But I think he's already worth, according to Fangraphs, he's like worth like over 2 WAR already, which is crazy. He's really good. I would love to see a guy like this too, who's kind of been like a less heralded guy, and everyone knows like, well, Pablo Lopez is a pretty good pitcher. The last 3 years he's had 3.61 ERA and 3.7 ERA, and now he's at a 2.04 ERA. In both years, the FIPS actually correlate with that pretty well. 2020 he had a 3.61 ERA, 3.09 FIP. 2021 he had a 3.7 ERA with a 3.29 FIP, and then this year it's 2.87 FIP compared to 2.4 ERA. His xFIP is right there too. It's 2.86. So like the peripheral numbers back up how good he's been. He's gotten hit a little bit more. He wasn't going to have like a 0.04 ERA forever. But yeah, I like him and Sandy to potentially push the Marlins. Maybe not right into a playoff spot, but they're both studs. And they're probably my two favorites from these. Just got to ride the guys. So I'm gonna go Pablo.
All right. Yeah. And we got a few honorable mentions. Just don't want any commenters to be upset that we left out their favorite pitcher. We got Max Fried, who's got a 3.10 ERA on the season. He's been really solid. Very consistent guy. We've got Carlos Rodon at 3.60 ERA, which is crazy because he was just killing it early on in the season. To see his ERA north of 3.5 is pretty interesting. Mackenzie Gore is the other honorable mention. He's got a 1.71 ERA. He doesn't qualify for the ERA title, or he would be leading the National League. Pretty impressive. Excuse me. Pretty impressive from him so far in his rookie season. And then we got Zach Gallen at a 2.22 ERA for the Diamondbacks. He slowed down in his last start, but he's been really solid on the year. His F4 isn't too high. That's probably as a result of a FIP that is probably north of that ERA. But I think Gallen is really interesting. Any four of these guys could enter the conversation at any point in the year, but the six guys we discussed are probably the top right now and going forward. But like I said, these guys are honorable mentions because they could be in the conversation at year's end. But let's move on to the American League.
Right. So moving on to the American League, our first debate is going to be between former San Francisco Giant, current Toronto Blue Jays ace Kevin Gausman versus nasty Nestor Cortez. Shame Isaiah couldn't be here. And a guy that we've also, you specifically have also upped really, really big before baseball, before the season even started. Shane McClanahan, Tampa Bay Rays ace. Those three respectively. Gausman's got has thrown 56 innings, got a 2.25 ERA. He's leading all of baseball in FIP, 1.32, just crazy. 1.04 WHIP, 29.3% K percent, and he is leading all pitchers with 2.7 F4. Nasty Nestor has thrown 53 innings, got a 1.7 ERA, 1.7 ERA, 2.5 FIP, 0.85 WHIP, 30.2% strikeout percent, and a 1.6 F4. And Shane McClanahan has thrown 58 in the third. He's got a 2.01 ERA, 2.59 FIP, 0.91 WHIP, leading baseball in strikeout percent with a ridiculous 36.3% strikeout percent. He's worth 1.5 F4. I think of the debates, this one might be the clearest cut so far. Really? Yes, so far. But I might play a little devil's advocate seeing on what you say. So I'll let you take the reins.
Yeah. You said this one has a clear cut. I feel like this one is one of the closest ones because all of these guys have like a really clear argument. Gausman has like the FIP and F4 argument. Obviously, those are correlated because the F4 is FIP based. The F does not stand for FIP. F stands for Fangraphs. But right. He's been really amazing in his first year for the Blue Jays. I was down on him before the season, and he's proven me wrong really well. I think he just gets a lot of ground balls. He keeps the ball out of the air and strikes out a lot of batters. And that's why that FIP is so incredibly low, and it goes along well with his 2.25 ERA. But Nestor Cortez has just been absolutely amazing. 1.70 WHIP is the best among these, or ERA is the best among these three, and he's got a 30% strikeout rate, which like for a guy that throws with his velo, like low 90s, 30% strikeout rate is crazy. He's also got the best WHIP among these three. And then you got McClanahan, who he's got the second best ERA among this group, the second best FIP, the second best WHIP, and then that strikeout percentage is just absolutely amazing. When I ranked him prior to the season really high, like top 30, I was not expecting him to take off to this level. I think he's been like the number one fantasy starting pitcher so far this year. He's been absolutely incredible with the strikeout percentage. And I think that makes me choose him as the best among these three so far this year. I can see the case for Gausman. It's very clear. And Nasty Nestor has been nearly unhittable so far this year. But my guy is Shane McClanahan. That strikeout rate just pushes him north of all the other guys. And I think that will carry him through the rest of the season and will make him the Cy Young by the end of the season. But I think Nasty Nestor is going to slow down, but he's been really great so far this year. And Kevin Gausman is obviously got the underlying metrics. FIP is not necessarily an underlying metric, but it's more predictive than ERA. So that sort of suggests that he will continue to get better throughout the year. But McClanahan has just been so elite, like throwing a lot of innings, striking out more than anybody in baseball. And I think that makes him my pick for AL Cy Young so far this year.
Yeah. On that note, McClanahan was going to be my pick, but I'll play devil's advocate for Kevin Gausman.
Okay.
But first, an interesting fact about Shane McClanahan. He is the first race pitcher ever with 4 consecutive starts of 6+ innings pitched, 7+ strikeouts, 1 earned or fewer, and 2 walks or fewer. He's also only one of 4 pitchers since 1901 to have 220+ strikeouts, 4.5+ K to walk ratio, and less than a 3 ERA in their first 35 starts of their career. He has just been ridiculous to start his career. Kevin Gausman, we talked about him so many times on the podcast. When Kevin Gausman is on, he's probably Jacob deGrom level of unhittable in baseball. His splitter is genuinely, for my money, up there with like deGrom's slider and his fastball as probably the singular most unhittable pitch that a starter throws. When he's on, he's just ridiculous. And the predictive numbers for him, I mean, he's got 2.25 ERA, 1.32 FIP, which is just stupid. And it's like one of the best ways to really like correlate pitcher success. And xFIP as well kind of backs that up a little bit. 2.39 FIP. He doesn't walk anybody. He strikes a bunch of people out. He doesn't have the best defense in Toronto. Bo Bichette's not a great defender. Vlad's not a great defender. Doesn't have a really, really good outfield defense, and they do play in a hitter's park. But he's also doing this in that division, along with Nasty Nestor and Shane McClanahan. So it's 3 AL East guys that's just tearing up hitters. And Gausman, for me, I mean, he looks the real deal. I know we talked about him, and I know we talked about Rodon as like before the season starts, like, oh, well, I'd be reticent on these guys. I don't know if they'll really be like what they were in the previous years, but no, Gausman is the real deal to me. I think that he's the most veteran of these 3 pitchers. So I think I would bank on him being the one that just has it in him to really ride this out. McClanahan is obviously a flamethrower, and like I said, he's been one of the best pitchers ever to start a career. Nasty Nestor's, this is like basically he's been good in the past, but this is like him flirting with being an elite pitcher for the first time.
Yeah. If we're doing it just based off mustache,
based on mustache or facial hair alone, Nestor Cortez should just get his own award. But yeah, I'm in on Gausman for this. He just has it all for me. If it wasn't of the 3 though, I think him and McClanahan are like here. And then like Nestor is like here. He's just like a little bit lower. But all 3 of these guys are obviously very deserving to be in that conversation. Our second debate is just going to be between a guy that we talked about a couple of podcasts ago, Tarik Skubal, and Alek Manoah, and the old dog Justin Verlander. So Skubal to start off, he's got 51 2/3 innings pitched. He's got 2.44 ERA, 2.03 FIP, 1.03 WHIP, 27.1% strikeout percentage. He's worth 2.0 on the dot F4. Against Alek Manoah, he's thrown 56 innings. He's got a 1.7 ERA, chasing down Kevin Gausman, his teammate, at 3.14 FIP, a sub-1 WHIP at 0.91, 23.7% strikeout percent with 1.2 F4. And Justin Verlander of the Houston Astros is leading the American League in WHIP, 0.83. But he's thrown 57.2 innings pitched, got 2.03 ERA, bit higher on the flip side, 3.66, 25%, 25.5% strikeout percentage. He's worth 1.1 F4. Who's your dog in this fight?
I think I love these debates. I think they're all so close this year, and I think I made the right groups pretty well, because these guys are not really those top 3, but I think they're definitely in that secondary tier here, and all of them have their own little things that they've done so well. Manoah's got the best ERA among the group, and it's been so good, and I think his 23.7% strikeout rate is not predictive of what he's going to do in the future. I think he's going to step it up a bit in that department. And then you have Skubal, who is finally breaking out after allowing the most barrels in baseball last year. So it wasn't looking too good unless he made a couple changes, and he's done exactly that this year and has reached his prospect pedigree and looked really amazing so far for the Tigers. And then you have Justin Verlander returning from Tommy John surgery. I really did not expect him to be good, let alone toss the most innings among these three. He's just been a workhorse once again. He's been known to have really low whips in the past. I think 2019, I think it was 2019 or 2018, one of those years where he and Cole struck out more than 300 batters each. He had like a sub 0.8 whip, and he was the first pitcher to do that since Pedro in his heyday. So Verlander obviously going to be a Hall of Famer at some point. I want to go with Verlander, and I think I'm going to. Like, I love Manoah a lot. I'm huge on him. I was big on him before the offseason, had him on my fantasy team last year, and I love what Scooble's been doing this year. But I think I got to side with Verlander, even though he's got the lowest WAR among the three. I think that's a result of him having the highest FIP, which suggests that maybe he won't be the best among these three going forward. But so far this year, I think I got to go with Verlander. That league leading whip is really impressive, and he's striking out a lot of batters. He's looking like old Verlander, maybe not at the same elite level, but he's been really amazing so far. I think he does take a step back going forward. We saw it in his last start. I think he gave up 6 earned runs, so that wasn't that great, but I think he's really, really good. I think going forward, I like Manoah among these three, but I could see Scooble just like sneakily being up there. He's second in all of baseball pitchers in F4 at 2.0, right behind Gaussman. He's one of 2 pitchers with F4 of 2 or above. So I think Scooble and Manoah are definitely going to be better than Verlander going forward. But so far, I got to side with Verlander. He's been amazing.
Yeah, I liked Verlander in this too, but I'll go with Manoah. Like you said, I think Manoah with the low ERA and he's got like what I say. Let me look at it again. 3.14 FIP. I think the numbers that he's got currently, like FIP and the strikeout percentage, are not really, like you said, not really indicative of what he is as a pitcher. We've all seen how disgusting he is. And he's young gun, doesn't throw super hard, just gets a lot of ground balls, gets a lot of weak contact, does strike out a lot of guys. He has that big slider. I like Manoah in this. Verlander has been really good, and it's good to see him kind of picking it back up. And I would honestly think if it was these three, as the top group, I feel like a lot of the voters would probably sway Verlander's way just because, like, oh, well, he just came back from Tommy John, and it's Justin Verlander, basically in the twilight of his career. I would bank on him probably being the number one, like, vote getter just for sentimentality, which I know is not, like, the best thing to say, but I think it would factor into it. But Manoah's been really good. Strikeouts have been down. Last year, I mean, he had a 10.24 Ks per 9, and we know he's a big strikeout guy. This year, he's sitting about 8.36. That's going to go up. He's going to figure it out, and I would bank on Manoah probably picking it up and being in the conversation with the top 3 that we talked about by year's end.
Yep. Can definitely make the case for any of these 6 pitchers in the American League. Once again, we have 4 honorable mentions. You may have noticed that we didn't mention anybody leading MLB or the American League in ERA, and that's because Martin Perez of the Rangers is leading all of baseball with a 1.60 ERA. Yeah, incredible. I was really upset a couple weeks ago. I benched him in my TGFBI league, which is like my industry league, 15-teamer, definitely the hardest league that I'm in the bottom half. That's the first time ever that I'm trying so hard not to lose that league. I just don't want to finish last place. That's my goal right now, and that's usually not something I'm shooting for. But he's got a 1.60 ERA on the season. He's been incredible. I benched him because he was facing the Astros, but I should have known. I know that the Astros love taking a lot of pitches, and Martin Perez throws a lot of strikes, and he's been on a roll so far. But I'm glad I picked him up because he faced the A's last week, and he's got 2 starts this week. But he is an honorable mention because I don't see him being in the conversation at the end of the year. He just doesn't have that kind of stuff that these other guys have. And then you got Michael Kopech, who, if you didn't have qualifiers and you were just looking at starting pitchers, he would be leading all starting pitchers, minimum 40 innings pitched with a 1.29 ERA, which is really incredible. He has sort of been getting lucky so far. His last start was really good because he was placing his off-speed pitches in the zone, and he bumped his fastball up a couple miles per hour. He's one of those guys who was coming up as a prospect and was like touted sort of like Hunter Green as like this guy throws 1,000 miles per hour and he's going to be incredible as a starter. And last year he pitched out of the bullpen, but now he's looking really good this year, but he wasn't showing the velocity on the fastball. And now he finally got it back, sitting at 97 in his last start, which is pretty solid. So he's been really good this year. He just needs some more innings to qualify, get into that conversation. You got Paul Blackburn, surprisingly for the A's, 1.70 ERA. Where did that come from? Out of nowhere. He's I think in the same boat as Martin Perez, where he really doesn't have that great stuff, and he's sort of been getting lucky so far. I'm sure if you look at the difference between that and his xFIP or Sierra, it's probably a large difference. And so Paul Blackburn, so really great so far this year. Not sure at the end of the year. You got that xFIP number for me?
Yeah, his xFIP is 3.39, but his FIP is 2.72.
Solid.
He's basically riding the back of he's only given up 2 home runs all year.
Yep.
So
I think Martin Perez has not given up a single home run.
I need to look that up, but that sounds right.
And
that's not gonna last, of course.
And another member of my fan. Go ahead.
His Martin Perez's xFIP is 3.62, and he has not given up a home run all year.
Incredible. And the last honorable mention, another member of my home league fantasy team, Logan Gilbert, 2.29 ERA, really solid this year, was great in his rookie year last year, and is breaking out this year, and I think he could get even better, but right now he's not really in the conversation. Any final thoughts before we maybe see somebody close out the game?
No, I think that's it, and I think it's time that we make that call to the bullpen. Talk about one of your favorites, I'm sure, and let's make a call to the Beard. You can take it away.
Yes, sir. All right, yeah, the closer that we're bringing in today is Brian Wilson. He had a 9-year career from 2006 to 2014 with the Giants and the Dodgers. He was drafted by those Giants in the 24th round of the 2003 draft. His repertoire featured a power fastball, a slider, and a cutter. He later added a 2-seamer to pair with that 4-seamer. Not the most interesting pitch mix, but was effective nonetheless. He debuted in 2006 against the Colorado Rockies. He went 2 innings, only allowed 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 3 Ks. He was the full-time closer in SF by the end of 2007. I think he was competing with Armando Benitez. Any Giants fans would definitely remember him. He made his first All-Star appearance in the following season, just his 3rd major league season in 2008. He tossed 62 innings. He saved 41 ball games, and that's where the goodness of that season ends, because he had a 4.62 ERA and a 1.44 WHIP with 67 strikeouts. I think he was leading baseball in saves for a while until I think Jose Valverde took it away from him by the end of the season, but that was just setting Brian Wilson up for a string of 4 incredible seasons. He struck out more batters and lowered his ERA in 2009. That came with 38 saves, and then he made his second All-Star team in 2010 with 70. This was his best season also. He had 74.2 innings pitched, a league MLB leading 48 saves, 1.81 ERA, a 1.18 WHIP, and 93 strikeouts. Pretty incredible. He's tied the San Francisco Giants single season saves record with those 48. He finished 7th in Cy Young voting and 13th in NL MVP voting, and he won his first World Series ring, as the Giants had won their first World Series since 1954 and 2010. He then made his final All-Star team in the following season, 2011, tossing 55 innings with 36 saves and a 3.11 ERA, going with a unsavory 1.47 WHIP and 54 strikeouts. He was injured the following year after just a couple innings, requiring a second Tommy John surgery. His first one was in college, his final year of college, and that's why he slipped so far in the draft to the Giants. That ended his career with the Giants, and he finished 3rd all time in saves by SF Giants closer. Pretty interesting. He waited until mid-season of 2013 to sign with the team because he wanted to be at full strength and put on a display of his talents in a bullpen to get a better deal, most likely. And he was signed by the Dodgers, the rival Dodgers. I hate when players go from the Giants to the Dodgers. It's always like, dang, I went from like adoring you to like now you're on my least favorite team. Oh well, he signed with the Dodgers on July 30th of 2013. He pitched only 13 2/3 innings for the Dodgers that year, and it came with a 0.66 ERA. Very solid, but a small sample. And he pitched again for them in 2014. I think he signed a $10 million deal in the offseason. Prior to that season, it came with a player option. At the end of the year, he didn't pitch too well that year, but at the end of the year, he exercised that player option, but then the Dodgers DFA'd him, and he didn't pitch for anybody in 2015 or 16, so he was effectively retired. He announced that he was going to make a comeback in 2017 as a knuckleball pitcher. That didn't pan out,
Without
as
the
we
beard.
haven't seen. Yeah, we haven't seen Brian Wilson, but yeah, he started growing that signature beard back in 2010, and was nicknamed the Beard. By the end of that, you saw a bunch of Giants fans wearing fake beards during the playoffs during those times, and he was definitely a fan favorite, closing out games, doing the double points with the fist. He was one of the greats. He's a really fun guy. He's still around. He was there to throw out the first pitch to Buster Posey on Buster Posey Day just a few weeks ago, as they were honoring the catcher's career. But yep, that's the career for Brian Wilson. He finished his outstanding career with 5.6 Baseball Reference WAR, 382 innings pitched with 407 strikeouts. It came with a 3.30 ERA and a 1.36 WHIP, and he saved 172 ball games for his career, which is 73rd all time in career saves. And so there's Brian Wilson. Classic legendary Giants closer, closing out the game, showing off his black beard. And that's going to do it for the 17th episode of Free Baseball.
So make sure you join us next week. Next Monday, we'll have episode 18, obviously, because that's what follows 17. We're going to talk about the monthly awards from the month of May, potentially joined again by Isaiah, so he can talk about everything good that's happened around his Yankees. Make sure you read Jake's article. It'll come out on Thursday. And make sure you read every article on the athleteshub.org. And we will see you next Monday.